Welcome back to another episode of Game Time. I'm Maggie Hale, here to bring you the stats and information you need to know before the game.
It's been quite a defensive struggle, Maggie Hale.
Yes, it definitely has, Brian, and this is something I spoke to Ryan Medeiros about earlier in the week. He told me that their key for the defense today was going to be to lock down the backfield. We definitely did see them hit their stride in the second quarter, but a halftime correction is going to have to be to lock down on the passing play. You can tell that Prosper prepared for the run, and they've done a great job applying pressure through major offensive lineman Devin Campbell and even locking down their running back Cameron Sanders. But the correction at half is definitely going to have to be to lock down on the passing. Something else you guys really pride yourself on is focusing on going 1-0 every week. This week you did go 1-0, and now we look ahead to next week to Eaton. What is the game plan for them?
The Geyer game was a turning point for the Eagles this season, and it's because of offensive addition Jacob DeVinny. The junior joined the team mid-season and made an immediate impact in the past 2 games. He's had 24 carries for 100 yards and even putting up a touchdown against Geyer.
Game, Maggie Hale, that must have fired up the sideline.
I definitely did. The energy down here definitely had a shift, and I think that's why we saw the offense move the way they did in this last play of the third quarter. I'm not going to say I predicted it, but I did talk about Aiden Ciano and his big stops after the first quarter, so let's hope to see some more from him in this final quarter, meaning that senior Cameron Harpool is going to stray away from his tight end responsibilities for today. That means that they're going to be able to call up Braden Reimer from our JV team. The coaches talked about him and his talent earlier this week. Coach Tyler Moore said that he's excited to see how this Utah running back is going to come in and transform with this offense, and he's going to step up to the challenge. They said he was going to be a varsity starter next year, and it's always good to get those guys reps in early, especially in a very decisive playoff game. Thanks, Brian. I'm here with Jackson Berry, our star quarterback of the game. Jackson, you had 5 touchdowns today, a great game, but going into halftime, y'all did have a close lead, 17-14. What was the halftime conversation to keep y'all going to come out and dominate like this? We talked about earlier pregame how we were going to need to see an offensive step up from Marcus, but especially Prosper, and that's what Coach Schmidt talked to me about earlier this week. He told me specifically Braden Reimer and Fisher Nauman were going to need to be the players to step up, and we saw that in that second quarter. We've seen Fisher take these passes that he's never taken before, and obviously JV coming up to the varsity, Braden Reimer is taking some incredible passes, just showing his varsity potential.
But behind every great quarterback are even better assets, and tight end Cameron Harpool proved to be Berry's go-to guy. Harpool ended the night with 123 yards for 6 catches, putting him at an average of about 20 yards a catch. This newly formed offensive powerhouse is going to continue to put out impressive stats all season and continue to be key offensive leaders. One thing that was lacking from the previous matchup was the run game. Last year, Prosper nailed down the offense with the ultimate trio between Jackson Berry and the now graduated Hayden Metcalf and JT Lane.
We knew going into tonight's game that it was going to come down to how well both defenses can apply pressure to quarterbacks Berry and Stowers. So far, both teams have done a great job battling it out. Before our boys come out of the locker room, let's go ahead and take a look at some scores from around the district.
Looking forward to coming into play today was the return of Jacob DeVinny to the lineup, and Maggie Hale. Jacob's had an impact here early on.
Jacob DeVinny definitely has had an impact on Prosper's game today, especially the run game. He is Prosper's best running back behind, obviously, Jackson Berry being able to carry the ball himself. He actually was the first play of the game, was able to pick up 5 yards, and he's seen the ball 2 times since then, picked up a first down both times. And Cade York himself, the Prosper legend, here on the field right now. First off, congratulations on the national title. So you went from high school 5A football to college's biggest stage in football. Did you ever expect you would get there so quickly?
Has been no different story here today.
No, it definitely hasn't. And the key to Prosper's game is to make sure that the offense sees the field the most. And they've been doing that today. The connection between Cameron Harpool and Jackson Berry has been solid today, which is why we're seeing the score as it is with Prosper up 10 so far today. Cameron's been 7 catches for 72 yards and 2 touchdowns. You guys definitely maintained that goal this week. You definitely accomplished that. And last week you told me your goal was 2 touchdowns and 2 picks. Well, today you got those 2 picks. So what can we expect to see from you next week?
Well, that's going to do it for the show tonight. Be sure to stay tuned for your halftime and post-game report. For Game Time, I'm Maggie Hale.